Hello again. I'd like to welcome you to my review of the Dapol Class 68. This is the locomotive number 68008, also called the Avenger, and it's in the Direct Rail Services livery, the Compass livery. And we've also, this is the model that has DCC Sound fitted as well, so we'll be trying that out. So I've been keeping an eye out for this locomotive for a while, and it's looked really good, and I really want to go through now and actually see what it is like in reality. I haven't got too many Dapol locomotives, so this is, again, I'm relatively new to them, so again that should be a bit of a learning experience. So looking forward to this review, so let's get underway. So it comes in the standard Dapol packaging, and I'll just take the top off here, and I have to say I am very impressed with the way they package their products. I would say that Dapol now, probably with this type of packaging, with this locomotive in particular, I would count this as probably as good, if not as any manufacturer at the moment. So we'll take and talk about that a little bit more. So first of all, you get some of the usual data that you get with the locomotives, and there's 4 different sheets coming in here with this particular one. Just a basic owner's guide that talks about some of the switches. So there's actually some option switches on this locomotive to control the lighting. Now if you're operating in a DC mode, they're probably a little bit more relevant, but they've got that detail in here, so we'll see that a little bit later on. Talks about the repair and warranty, so good to have that. And then just a basic DCC guide about the locomotive, and this does come pre-fitted, as I said, with the DCC Sound capability. It does need, from a DCC controller perspective, a 6-port controller, and that's captioned here, 6 function type, just to control the lighting, because it does have quite complex lighting, probably similar to the Murphy Models locomotives, which do need a 6-channel controller as well. The last sheet that we've got here is talking about the DCC Sound, so it gives a list of all of the function keys here. I will include this in the comments section down below, so if you're interested, so you just take a look at that afterwards. And it also talks about controlling the different lighting modes, etc., and some of the specifics regarding braking and you know, some of the specific sounds. So it's 4 pages, which I think is pretty good. It's better than just a listing of these on their own, which is sometimes all you get. So I would count this as pretty good. Maybe not as quite as comprehensive as what you get with the Hornby locomotives these days, but nevertheless, very good information in here. It looks good, and it covers off all the key things you'd need to know. And obviously, when you get the DCC Sound pre-fitted, you don't need an awful lot of information regarding installation, etc. So it just saves on that. So all in all, some nice piece of information here that comes with the locomotive, and would recommend that you do take a read through it if you purchase one of these. So next thing we're going to do is actually take a look at the locomotive itself. So I'm just going to take this guy. So I suppose it's got a very solid box structure with a foam surround, and then you've got the actual ice cube, if I call it that, packaging on the inside here. Now, something I want to highlight when I pull this out here, that I think is quite unique, and I do commend Dapol for it. You'll notice that there's the expanded polystyrene strip up here as a bit of added protection at the roof of the locomotive, and also similarly on the ends, you've got extra pieces there. So for example, if this was in a package that was dropped end on like that, this is a heavy locomotive, and what you tend to find with locomotives like this, if they do get dropped in the box, the weight of the locomotive will actually drive it through the packaging, and you'll get damage. So that extra piece there is a good protection against that. So I'll talk about the scoring and the rating later on, but straight out the gate here, I would be rating this as a 5-star from a packaging perspective. It really is excellent. I don't think they could have done much more to protect the locomotive than what they have done. So this is really, really good. So let's get down a little bit more. Take these guys off the end here, and we'll just slip them through. So that's the top piece just comes off there. So you've got the blanking plate, some nameplates. Now there are nameplates fitted to the locomotive, so the Avenger nameplate is already on the locomotive, but they do give you another 2 there. And a small detailing kit, and I'll tell you why this is a small detailing kit. You'll see it in a few minutes. There's really just a few sort of skirts on there, a few extra couplers. Very little else, and you're kind of asking, well, what's the story there? Well, the reason is that most of the detailing has actually been pre-installed. So the typical piping and detail that you'd have on a locomotive that you would get has actually been pre-installed in this loco. And let's just take a look at that now, and we'll do some nice close-up shots of this so that you can get to really see the detail. Let's just take the packaging out of the way. So first of all, another little piece there. This is really a top-notch loco. I mean, there's incredible detail on here, and I will go through that in a bit more. And just an added piece, you see underneath here, these extra pieces of protection for the wheels. I've never seen that before, so that's really nice. So top marks to Dapol. Now this is one of the more later versions of this locomotive, so perhaps they've actually learned from experience that there was issues with damage, etc., and they've added those precautions. But I'm just very happy with it, very pleased. And so let's talk a little bit more about the locomotive itself. So it comes in the Compass livery, which is livery I really like. You can see the nameplate is already on there, and there's really it's astounding the detail on this locomotive. The various warning labels and indicators and printed detail that's along the bottom here. You'll notice the little detail in the wheels as well, the kind of an inlay with you can see the detail there within the wheels. Really nice, kind of perforated wheels. So again, something I wouldn't have seen on locomotives, you wouldn't see typically. And very nice detailing around the bogies as well. All in all, absolutely exceptional. The front detailing, you can see here that the actual parts, the typical detailing parts, have actually already been installed. So that's the kind of detail you'd normally be adding afterwards. It's got, of course, the spring buffers and a kind of an odd oblong shaped buffer there, in keeping with the original prototype. So really good. I mean, this is impressive. Lovely handrails, some very clear lettering all over the locomotive. Very nice grille effect there with the detail in behind. Some more grills here, and again on this side, and not just printed on these. It looks very realistic grille effects here, and again little door handles. Again, excellent detailing in terms of the type of script here. Now we'll be doing some close-ups of this later on, but this is really exceptional. I mean, I'm just blown away, to be honest. I don't think I've seen a locomotive ever with this kind of level of detail in all my life. So this is really good. Some fantastic rails around there. So all in all, on first look, I have to say I'm blown away. I think this is a really good locomotive. Looks really good. Fantastic weight, obviously, and from the other Dapol locomotive I do have, I do know that they do put a lot of weight into them. So very pleased with that. So what can I say? This is absolutely fantastic. It is pre-fitted with DCC Sound, so when we go to run this, we'll see the sound in action. And overall, very pleased. So this is good. Well done, Dapol. Okay, now it's time to see this locomotive in action. So we're just going to start her up. And it has quite a slow startup sequence. It takes about 20 seconds, so let's just stay with it.
So it's a pretty impressive startup sound. I'm just going to run through a few of the other sounds now. As I said, a list of all of the sounds, the function keys, I'll have those in the description, so you can take a look at those offline. So we're just going to get ready to get going now. So this locomotive is very new. I've only really run it in for about a couple of hours. But it's showing some good performance there. I'm running it with a set of Virgin Charter Relief coaches, Mark 3s. This would be the Pendolino, as they're often known as. They look like the Pendolino type coaches. And this would be a coach pack that you would see in reality with this particular locomotive. So we're starting it off reasonably slow, but we'll gradually start increasing it. Just some brake squeal there. My overall impression from running with the locomotive is it's got a good strong pulling power. This could probably take a rake of 8 to 10 coaches without a problem. As I said, I wouldn't say it's quite fully running yet, so I'm not really looking to load it that much in its early first few hours of operation. So speeding things up. Very smooth over points and crossings, no problems there. Now really ramping it up to full tilt. I actually ran this all the way up to the maximum speed in this run out. Not the highest speed locomotive actually that I've seen, so pretty well close to top speed now. But very solid, very strong pulling power. And similar performance under DC, so I have done some running on this in DC as well, and very good performance there. Okay, so we'll just start slowing it down again. Overall, a very nice runner. Really great to see this in action. Come through the station for one last time. So we're starting to brake. And we'll just start winding it down now. Okay, bring it to a slow halt here. Nice and steady. Just get it into the shot. Well done, the driver. And that's a nice view of a lot of the detail of this fantastic looking locomotive. And we'll just turn off the sound. Okay, all in all, a really good run out. Okay, so before I finish this part of the review, I really want to highlight an issue that I encountered in the early stages of running in this locomotive. I had this clicking noise that I was trying to figure out where it was coming from, and it actually has to do with the coupler, the rear coupler that's pre-fitted, and you can see there in the pictures how that's catching the rails there on the points, and it also does this on the curves. So you get this, and you get a kind of a clicking sound. So I would be concerned about something like this maybe getting caught and actually causing damage to the locomotive. So the resolution to the problem is pretty straightforward. It just really requires you to cut off the excess piece of the coupling hook, the piece that hangs down, and taking about 3-4 millimeters off that will rectify the problem. You won't have any issues. So that's actually what I did with my model here before I did the review, the full run out for the review. It doesn't affect the operation when there's actually coaches attached, because when there is a coach attached, it actually raises the level of the coupler, and it no longer starts interfering with the rails. So this is just something to watch out for. I'm not the only person to find this. If you do check the internet or on YouTube, you will find other people who found the same issue. So it's something for Dapol in their testing to pick up on. It's something they missed, obviously. I would be concerned by the risk of derailment, particularly at speed, catching on a points or a diamond unit, and causing damage to the coupling area, derailing the locomotive, which is never good. So just something to watch out for. As I've easily rectified, I've done it on the unit here. You wouldn't notice the difference, and just avoid this problem. Okay, just want to highlight that to you. Every now and again you do get things like this with locomotives. Thankfully this is quite a small one, and it's quite easy to rectify. Okay, let's get on with the rest of the review.
So in summary, a few things to call out here. This is the Dapol Class 68 Avenger, model number 68008. It's one of a large series of Class 68s that Dapol have introduced. This one is in the Direct Rail Services livery, the Compass livery as they call it. It features onboard DCC Sound and some very good sound quality. It also features some very good lighting and quite a complex lighting arrangement, which mimics the capabilities of the original prototype of this locomotive, and provides a lot of options in terms of how you can control that lighting, either under DCC or under DC, where there's a number of switch options to actually control that lighting as well. The level of detail is absolutely phenomenal. So in terms of the kind of extra detail that you get on this locomotive, it is second to none. And the detailing and the bulk of the detailing kit is actually pre-installed, and makes it look a really top-notch locomotive out of the box. It typically sells in the retail channels, normally around the 250, 260 pound mark. Now I was lucky enough to pick this up recently at a reduced level. But it's that's the kind of money I think you can expect, and to be honest, for a locomotive of this quality, that's good value for money. It really is a superbly detailed locomotive. I'd hazard to guess this is probably the most detailed locomotive I've ever seen. I would compare it favourably to the high-end Bachmann's and Murphy models locomotives, all of which would figure at the top end in terms of detail. But the level of printed detail on this is absolutely exceptional. So I actually would rate it at the very top end of what I've ever seen from a detailing perspective. So let's take a look at the scorecard for the Dapol 68008 Avenger locomotive with DCC Sound installed. In terms of performance, I'm giving this actually a 4.5 stars. I'm not going all the way to 5 stars, and I'll tell you the reason. So there was the minor little issue with the coupler getting caught on the track. So that is an issue that is a little bit worrying, and it's good to pick it up and be able to address it before any damage was done. So that would have been a concern. And also I found coming out of the box, it was not as clean running, I suppose, out of the box as I would see from some of the Bachmann's and the Murphy models locomotives. So they would tend to run pretty cleanly out of the box even prior to being run in, albeit obviously all these locomotives do need to be run in for a greater or lesser period. So I did find it did need a bit of running in both directions to get the sort of smooth operation I would expect. So I'm giving it a 4.5 star on that basis. Also, its top speed would not be as high, I would say, as again some of those high-end Bachmann, Murphy models or Hornby locos, which would probably have a higher top speed. That's less of an issue in truth in terms of realism. but it's just that effect with the coupler and the just the extra time needed to run it in. That's just really the main thing there for the 4.5 stars. In terms of appearance, it's a 5-star plus. It's outstanding. The appearance, really, there's no debate about it. Probably one of the most detailed, if not most detailed, locomotives I've ever seen in terms of the amount of printed detail, as well as things like the grille effects and the added effects on the front and the back of the locomotive. So top-notch 5 stars, no hesitation at all. In terms of the sound, I'm giving it a 4.5 star. I think the sound is good and a good level, though I think it can be improved upon, and there are third-party alternatives to the pre-installed Dapol sound, which you may be worth taking a look into, which I've certainly seen some videos on YouTube that would sound a little bit better. So I'm giving it 4.5. It's still a very good score, and no qualms about it, and you get a very good out-of-the-box package. You're obviously going to have to pay a little bit more if you want to go and get your own sound, and you're going to have to go through getting that installed, etc. But I think it's probably just a little bit off what it could be, and as I said, some of the third parties do sound just that little bit better. But 4.5 star is an excellent score, and I'm well pleased with it. I'm not going to go any further with it, getting one of those alternatives, given I've got this built in already. So very pleased with that. Extra features, I've given this a 4 star, and that's to cover off a lot of the extra features regarding the lighting, the extra detail that you get on this, which is above and beyond what I would say is the standard sort of detail that you would get on a locomotive, and it is exceptional. So I'm giving it a 4 star in terms of the extra detail. In terms of the packaging and documentation, my opinion really is that this is a 5 star all the way. It's an example to any other vendors in terms of how to pack a locomotive from two perspectives. One, to avoid damage to the actual locomotive itself. The last thing you want is the packaging actually being a source of damage, and also protecting the locomotive in transit. And I think on both fronts they've done an excellent job there. The documentation, I think, is everything you would expect, and again, I've no qualms giving it a 5 star here. For packaging and documentation, and really a top-notch score. Overall, it's a 5 star for me. This is a Premier League locomotive. It sits up there with the best from Hornby, Bachmann, and the likes of Murphy models. It's a very, very high-quality locomotive, and I'm really commending Dapol on doing a really great job here. They've put it out there in terms of getting a locomotive with this quality. So a 5 star and a highly recommended rating on this locomotive. I think you may have different tastes in livery. I liked this particular livery. There are a number of options, alternative options that you might want to look at. The Chiltern option. There's also a ScotRail option, and there's also some variants in terms of the locomotive number and name. So, but highly recommended. This is a top-notch, and as I said, I reckon this is going to set a standard and sit up there as one of the top locomotives, certainly one of the best ones I've ever reviewed, and such incredible detail is just to be commended. So well done to Dapol, and this is a 5 star, highly recommended. So that's the end of my review for today. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it's of use to you, and that it's something that you can use to help in terms of your own buying decisions. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you'd like to subscribe, that would be great. I will be doing lots more videos like this, and please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you on one of these videos in the near future, and thank you for watching today. Okay, thanks now.